So maybe it wasn't Agatha after all. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and talking today about episode 8 of WandaVision. In this case, we do not go to the sitcom world, but we're in the real world, at least in their universe. And we pick it up where we left off, where Agatha Harkness has trapped Wanda in her basement. And we start figuring out that there is a lot more going on than we thought, and perhaps some of the things that we originally thought were really what's happening. Actually, we have had people who have corresponded with us on this channel saying that this all has to be part of Wanda's imagination. It has to be all of what she wanted. And it reveals that this is largely true, that Agatha, which they take all the way back to the Salem witch trials, has admitted to being a witch but wanting to do good. And now we're starting to see that maybe she's not so much the villain of this story as we might have thought. And we may also be thinking that Hayward is not such a villain either, but someone who's just interested in maintaining security of the world. This is all recombining some flashbacks that are dealt with by Agatha, and Wanda relives this thing. She seems to have gone into a state of denial and does not clearly remember what brought her into the hex and who is all behind it. We have not had a big reveal of another villain. It doesn't look like there's going to be one. And it looks like that what this was kind of an awakening for Wanda, and also an explanation of why we were in a sitcom world, and the reason that it made sense, at least to Wanda. And the creation of this world seemed to be something that was not altogether voluntary, but used a type of chaos magic, which kind of gives you an idea of it being kind of related to how Doctor Strange's magic works. So we find that Agatha is a very powerful witch, and what she may be doing here, and what it looks like she's doing here, is to find out what Wanda was up to and try to resolve it from the inside. So we kind of turn the table on who the bad guy is and who the good guy is, and in the post-credit sneak, we may find that the great reveal is going to be something that we had not expected. It comes completely out of right field and kind of throws away some of the things that they had actually told us earlier in the story. So a very interesting piece of the puzzle we have now, and couple of quashed theories. We probably are not going to see Mephisto. We're probably not going to see any other big bad. But this is all a matter of what's going to happen now that Wanda's eyes are open, if she's going to put an end to the hex, if she's going to try to stay on with it, and if she does, what Agatha is going to try to do about it, and what Sword is going to try to do about it on the other side. Meanwhile, we don't have a good idea of what has happened with Vision and with Monica. And in that, we don't know how they're going to affect the story as it moves along. So there's a lot of questions here, as always, with this episode. And we think that it'll be all tied up in the next, but there's some theory that they may have a second season. Now, the people at Marvel are being very coy about this, not saying yes, not saying no, but if there is not a second season of WandaVision, this is going to be the big wrap-up next week. So that's going to be something to see how all of this ties together, or rather, we've tied it together this week, but how it's all going to resolve itself now that it is all tied together. So that's what we're thinking right now. And we had a couple of things a couple of good lines there where Agatha says, "You did all this just so you could have breakfast for dinner." That's my favorite line of the episode. And also, a thing with the fly, which some eagle-eyed viewers noticed in last week's episode, was dealt with in this week's episode, and we find the true identity of the fly. So why not go and subscribe to the channel, and while you're there, leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear what you have to think about this episode and how it changes your mind from what you had before, or whether it confirms things that you already believed. I'd like to hear about it, so please do that. In the meantime, until next week, don't go far.